On The Sopranos, the mob is often portrayed as a world of easy money.
When you think of all the headaches most human beings have in life, odds are all boiled down to only one. Not a bad deal, huh?
But beneath the surface, many of those ventures are unstable and incredibly expensive to maintain. Plus, the personnel issues.
Hello? Where are you?
Yeah, you called yesterday to complain? No, that's our policy. It's written on our trucks. Double your garbage back if you're not satisfied.
In order to be able to justify the mortgage for the house and show income for tax and legitimacy purposes, Tony's official job title was Waste Management Consultant, and he was employed by Barone Sanitation.
You have an office at Barone Sanitation. Get your ass out of that strip club and go there.
Richie April.
Yeah, I know. I heard.
Richie's got him running an operation, selling blow along the routes. Now, the Department of Sanitation I can handle, Tony, but if the DEA gets involved, we're going to lose our 901.
Barone Sanitation served as a solid front for income until Dick Barone passed away.
Dick Barone. Poor fuck.
Dick Barone died?
Lou Gehrig's disease.
You ever think what a coincidence it is that Lou Gehrig died of Lou Gehrig's disease?
You gonna make that same stupid joke every time that comes up?
So, Paulie tells me you're thinking of selling your father's business, the Chucky Chinelli.
Yeah, I think it's the best thing for Mom.
There's lots of things to take into account. You even know what your EBITDA is?
My what?
Earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization.
There are also other garbage hazards to take into account, like asbestos, for example.
¿Sabes lo que tú has respirado? ¿Sabes lo que estás comiendo con tu comida? Asbesto.
Nobody's been hiding nothing. I had the same dumping deal with what's his name, the operations manager since I've been there at Barone Sanitation.
You're not there no more. I am.
3/8 very sound company.
All right, so you're going to want to make that check out.
In a pump and dump scheme, people typically spread false or misleading information to create a buying frenzy that will pump up the price of the stock and then dump shares of the stock by selling their own shares at the inflated price.
We own 400,000 shares, proprietary at 60 cents. Trade on the bulletin board, OTC. You're supposed to push Webistics.
While this Webistics pump and dump scheme was underway, Matt and Sean did other little jobs here and there with Christopher, and they somehow thought that because they had stockbroker licenses and went to Pace College, that held some significance as to whether or not Tony wanted anything to do with them.
How do I look? Good. Yeah, how do you? Yeah.
Just so you know, Chris spoke to us about we should give you a taste from those safes.
Jesus fucking Christ. You ever hear of wiretaps?
Yo, Christopher, what's up?
Hey, what's up, man?
Any investment advice for ambitious young men such as myself?
Buy land, I guess. God ain't making any more of it. That's what Will Rogers said. Sometimes there's money and shit.
How do you mean?
You ever hear of HUD?
The HUD scam was good money. That's why Ralph was going around bragging about how much money they were making. But then a couple of things got in the way, thanks to Tony himself and Polly Walnuts.
Irene and I are seeing each other. The heart wants what the heart wants, I guess.
Heart also wants what the dick wants. Fucking real estate scam. You're feeling highs in the avenue thing. It's a different one now. I'm not sure what it is. All I know is fucking Ralph. He's going around bragging about how much they're making.
As long as the feds are guaranteeing the home mortgage, the banks figure what the hell. They'll loan the money. You get a front man to buy houses in some crummy neighborhood. Next, you tie up with some non-profit organization who goes to HUD.
HUD guarantees the mortgage app. You take it to the bank. They cut a check, and we work it up nice.
At which point I assume my organization fails to make the mortgage payment.
Unforeseen construction delays and repeated vandalism forced the project into dissolution. We all walk away from the houses.
And then unforeseen Tony Soprano issues forced the project into dissolution. And not surprisingly, Paulie opens his mouth to Johnny Sack about this, causing further issues with the Lupertazzi family that leads to a work stoppage and Carmine Sr. almost getting whacked by the time it was all said and done, among other things. For Tony, getting involved in this HUD scam also indirectly led to the big blow-up with Carmela and Whitecaps. If they hadn't organized the HUD scam together, meaning Tony and Assemblyman Zellman, among the others, Tony presumably wouldn't have seen Irina at Assemblyman Zellman's house when he stopped by to talk to him about it, and then he wouldn't have also come back to beat the crap out of him in front of Irina, which we know led to them splitting up and Irina being drunk and miserable and calling the Soprano home.
He felt weak in front of her. She told me he couldn't perform. Branca. We had bad argument over FICA and Federalist Holding. I take from her paycheck.
Tony doesn't usually have to deal with FICA and federal withholding. They don't deduct that in his business, but it manages to show up here anyway.
Closing the lights means
It means, do you want to admit that you lost and pack it in?
Me? No. All right, cut, please. Either way, I'm having the executive game.
You know, your father and me started that game over 30 years ago. We were talking one day about how the credit card companies, they work their angle, they juice you to death, and you thank them for letting you have a card. You'd rather be juiced than pay all at once. It's a certain kind of player. That's why we call it the executive game.
This isn't just any little game of cards. This is the executive game started by Johnny Boy Soprano back in the day. I imagine they made some good executive level money over those years, and certain executive civilian friends were even allowed to take part. But sometimes just because someone is an executive, maybe they own a huge sports and outdoor gear store, that doesn't mean that they have the money to pay up. Even though Tony warned Davey Scatino numerous times not to go to the game, especially knowing that Davey was the father of one of Meadows' friends, Davey insisted and ended up $45,000 in debt to Tony. He was already $8,000 in debt to Richie, and sometimes they can't pay up. But you can't just make them disappear if they're a big presence in the community. So you've got to come up with other ways to recoup the money.
I'm sorry, Tony. I wouldn't do anything to insult you. Our kids go to the same school together.
Eric, come on. Let's talk. You're just gonna leave me here?
I thought you were my friend.
I am.
If I were a carpenter and you were a douchebag.
Construction can be a big moneymaker for the guys, but they don't just have free reign on all projects. They have an agreement with the Lupertazzi family that the Lupertazzi family gets a piece of the action when it involves Assemblyman Zellman, who told Tony about these properties and this upcoming construction and redevelopment, which gave him an edge in taking advantage of these new opportunities.
Good news about the Esplanade. The legislature has voted to refund the special Newark Development District along Frelinghuysen Avenue, north from the Museum of Trucking. Because of the vote, Omni is going to put up a hotel with a galleria on the first floor.
Anything else with the Esplanade I should know?
But some of your guys...
I told you I'd take care of it.
This is not the fiber optics. I'm talking about the floor tiles.
What floor tiles?
Last night, somebody hijacked a trailer. The truck crushed a shed on its way out, too.
Oh, look what the cat dragged in.
This is accountant.
I thought about it a couple times, but it's an animal, it's a commitment. Hey.
Don't tell me with the buck shins again.
No, she's fine. We had a great morning.
Jesus, that's a beautiful horse.
In season 4, episode 5, we meet Pyomai, a very special and very valuable horse. She makes Ralph and Tony some really good money, though she also has some medical issues that make her more expensive.
It's gonna be a bottle of LePage you don't win this race.
Lovely, you want a sure thing? Buy buns.
Tony would probably consider her priceless, though, with his particular affection for animals, and Pyomai in particular. But then there's the fire. This is a business, sure, but that doesn't mean that personal feelings don't come into play. And for Tony, Py's death causes him to lash out and kill one of his top earners. Not exactly a wise business decision, and it made some of the other guys question if they were next, on the endangered species list, as Christopher would describe it.
This is bad, my friend. I mean, don't get me wrong. I wouldn't piss on this Ralph if he was on fire. But to whack the guy over a horse?
It can happen to him, it can happen to any of us.
And what's next? You get clipped for wearing the wrong shoes?
And look at this young dentist. All handsome in his Calvin Klein. Listen, Tony, I don't mean to talk business, but I had to tell you. I met with that guy Deutsch, the one from the Planning Commission. Not only is he in charge of approving bids for all city contracts, he's also a degenerate horse player.
So we'll play ball.
There's a big cost to losing top earners due to internal and external politics. If you think about the financial impact of this cycle of replacement.
Oh, brought you something.
Actually, I was expecting something else. I was thinking maybe it was some of the 200,000 I loaned you.
Vito bought in 3 times what you do on construction. Yeah.
All right, Mafia's a new business partner. You.
Going back to construction for a second, just like Tony tells Benny Fazio not to shit where he or Tony eats, perhaps the same thing could have been said to Vito with slightly different wording. If Vito had still been working with Tony at this point, Tony would have likely had more money. Maybe he wouldn't have even had to borrow money from Hesh in the first place, or if he did, he probably would have paid him back a lot faster.
First off, I pay my way back in. I got $200K that goes directly to you personally. No one else needs to know.
I was thinking maybe it was some of the 200,000 I loaned you.
And when you think about Tony's retirement plan, so to speak, overall, when it comes to this industry, it's like Tony said, 80% of the time you end up in the can like Johnny Sack or on the embalming table at Cozzarelli's. And these outcomes look to be increasingly likely the closer we get to the final episode. It's a contrast with this glamorous myth of the mob boss with the isolated, paranoid reality of Tony in the final season and even before that.
You're down the pork store? Gotta hang around here all day doing nothing?
A lot of my customers giving their action to New York.
Power vacuum to take advantage.
Mr. Julius Mover, a would-be writer, who if talent came 25
Yesterday was his gout.
Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video on Sopranos business ventures, successes, failures, and hidden costs. I'd love to hear from you.